Well, hello and welcome back, my friend. And this week, it's going to be a hot one. And yes, this is a pun that is absolutely intended. We're doing dad jokes, starting at it right out of the gate. So this week, Dave Albin is my guest. And Dave has been doing firewalking, hosting those for years, going on decades, I guess, at this point, right,
Mm,
Dave?
Pretty much.
Okay. So if you're like, what the heck is a firewalk? A firewalk, if you think of Tony Robbins and people taking off their shoes and, walking across coals, that is a firewalk. That's what we're talking about. So, yeah, this is going to be an awesome one. Dave, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great, man. What's up, coach? Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. Thank you for joining me, my friend.
Yeah, of course.
Well, let's start out. First, I want to congratulate you, man. We talked about this 35 years of sobriety. That's huge. Congratulations, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yep. Picked this little bad boy up here on June 8th of this last month. And so here we go.
Very,
Yeah, a long time. It's been a
yeah,
wonderful ride.
that's very cool, man. That is a large accomplishment in my book. So well done.
Yeah, thank you. Well, you know what you need to for long-term sobriety, right?
What's that?
You don't drink and don't die. So
Yeah, those
it's a
would both
bad
be
joke
important.
inside of AA, right? That's a bad joke inside of AA. The old timers, that's what we say all the time. I don't drink and don't drive. And you can have long-term sobriety. So there you go.
Yeah, yeah, but there's a lot of truth in it. It can be dark, but it's true.
Yeah, absolutely. It is definitely true. That's for sure.
Oh man. Well, Dave, let's start out if we could with what does life look like for you today on the professional side of life?
Oh, wow, man. Great question. Well, I'm in that sweet spot in life, man. I paid my dues and got things sorted in my life. And so now I can go where I want and when I want with who I want as often as I want. Empty nester living up here in the Appalachian Mountains in a beautiful cabin with, mountain spring water coming into the house and mountain air and, a really cool dog, a German Shepherd out on the porch. And my daughter lives 20 minutes that way with my two grandkids, and my son lives 25 minutes that way. And so, yeah, man, I got it all. I got the best of both worlds right now. So
Yeah.
beautiful place to be in life.
Yeah, and I think the amazing thing is being at that spot in light of where things started and the path
Oh,
of getting there. I mean, man, that's like the diametrically opposed, going from the bottom of Mount Everest now being at the top. And so, yeah, and we'll unpack that as we go along here.
yeah.
What does life look like for you today on the personal side of life? I know you said like you're close to your kids and your grandkids. I
Yeah.
mean, what else does that entail?
Well, it's both. Again, I'm in that place both professionally and personally, where I can, really do what I want. I'm not having to chase anything. I don't want anything anymore, Mike. You know what I mean? I don't. I've got everything I need. There's nothing I need, and I've had that for quite a while. I've learned finally. It took a while, but I finally learned that you got to live from the inside out and not from the outside in. Because we chase our tail, man. It's like, well, if I just had, if I had that Corvette, I'd be happy. Well, wait, no. If I had two Corvettes, and so when you get into the wanting, that can become a hamster wheel, man. And once you realize that if you got your health and you've got your family and you've got a decent place to live and food on the table, what else could you want? I mean, other than, it's all comes down to happiness. Am I happy? Absolutely. Was it always like that? No, but it certainly has been in my life now for a long time. Business wise, I can go out and pretty much do whatever I want because of the nature of my business and the way we do it and how we do it. And for really not having any competition, all I have to do is get myself in front of a CEO or an entrepreneur. And if they're struggling, right? In other words, they've got dissension and something's breaking down in the company, they got to fix it. And if they don't know how to do it, that's where they find me. They hire me, write a check, and boom, I come in and we get things back to order. We get things back to being humanistic. And so it's a very, very powerful process that I have, and it works. And so, honestly, coach, I'm a little lazy. you know, I enjoy mountain life. I enjoy the surroundings and the clean air, and I'm out in the middle of, kind of nowhere. So yeah, my life is spectacular, man. There's no doubt about it.
So it sounds like with the firewalking, it's almost like just like you can have team building experiences, right? Where it's elevated, you're up in the air. This is a similar kind of thing where being outside of your comfort zone as a group kind of builds a cohesiveness. Is it that same kind of deal, or is it different than like the aerial team building experiences?
Um, well, there's something really magical about the fire in and of itself. If we take a step back away from Tony Robbins and the firewalking, what he brought into the West, the firewalk experience itself has been around over 1,000 years. So culturally, if you look at the Tahitians, the people of India, the people of Portugal, the Spaniards, um, the Polynesians, the Hawaiians, the Native American Indians, the Indo-Europeans, all of them used the experience to, to get different outcomes. In other words, like the Indo-Europeans, for example, they would do a firewalk every night before the men would go into battle. Marriage ceremonies, births, so again, it's just used for different reasons. Tony researched it and knew that if he brought it into his seminars, he could create massive change on day one of a 4-day event and get leverage. Because immediately following a firewalk, if you ask yourself, okay, I just walked on coals that are 1,000 degrees, what else can I do?
Yeah, that kind of that raises the bar really high.
Yeah, it does. It really, really does, because it's magical. There's nothing like it. I mean, literally. And I say that not only from my own experiences, but I've watched tens, hundreds of thousands of people do that. Because, and I'll tell you where you can go watch it. It's real simple. It's real easy. Go Google Oprah and go watch her firewalk, and you'll see it. There's no acting going on. It's real. That was real time deal there. And before the firewalk, she's losing it. I mean, literally, she's freaking out. And so there's a moment of reckoning, right? The fight or flight is going on. And there's a moment where Tony goes, Oprah, what's the worst that can happen? Burn your feet off and die? Come on. I'm not going to let you get hurt. And that's all she needed, that little bit of encouragement. And then she walks, and go watch it. And here's what's really incredible about it. What happens right after the firewalk is she walks and the cameras go with her, and she makes one of the biggest business decisions of her life right there on the spot within seconds of firewalking. Because what that experience does right there in that moment is it elevates you instantly. In other words, your self-belief, your self-confidence, your self-worth, boom, your brain is like, whoop, whoop, whoop. I mean, it's like you're full on. And that's where we should be making decisions from anyway, is a peak state. And that's where you are once you get across those goals. And she literally goes over and she creates what's called the next chapter. She says it on camera. This is the next chapter. This is the next chapter, people. Because I wasn't planning to do this. I was just thinking, it kind of turns around and looks at the fire again, and she's like, we're mammals. We're supposed to run from fire. This is unreasonable, she says. And it is. Who's in their right mind is going to walk on fire?
She had the same plan like you had. I'm just going to stand back here out of the way and not do this.
No, I mean, she was a little, I wasn't going to do it at all. From the moment I found out there was a firewalk, when my buddy called me and said, "Hey, Tony's coming to town. You want to go?" And I said, "Yeah, let's go." And he said, "Great." He said, "Let me call you back." So he calls me back an hour later and he goes, "Done. We pick up the tickets at will call. Here's what they told us to do. Number one, bring snacks. You're going to spend a lot of time in the room." What an understatement that is. Hydrate, drink a lot of water. Stay hydrated throughout the entire 4-day weekend. Bring a good attitude and be ready to play full out. And I said, "Dan, how much was the ticket?" Now, this is in 1995, by the way. And he said, $695. I went, $700? Oh, don't you worry. I'll play full out. I mean, what's that equate to today? 1995, 700, that's like 7.3 million. I mean, I don't know. It was a lot of money, right? And then just as he's getting ready to hang up the phone, he goes, "Oh, wait, I forgot to tell you something. We're going to be doing a firewalk." And I remember thinking, oh no, and this is just going in my head. I'm not saying anything, right? I'm just like, oh no, that's a hard no for me. I'm not doing that. That's insane. And you know what's funny? Like, I didn't even know what a firewalk was. What's a firewalk? I didn't know what that meant, but here's what I knew. Fear was controlling my life big time. And so for me, it was forget everything and run. And that's what I did. Just like I'd done, so many other times with so many other things. So fear's a liar. And so it was lying to me then, right? Just like it had been doing my whole life.
Yeah, especially not even knowing what it is. You're like,
no, right? You're saying no to something you don't even know. And that's pretty typical. Because again, you have to get to a point where you control, because the fears we don't overcome become our limits. And we already know that what doesn't challenge you doesn't change you. It's not going to happen. You're not going to sit in a seminar and sit on your butt and not do anything and expect something to change. It's not going to happen. It's not the way the brain works. You're going to have to get your happy butt up and do something. Because if you don't, again, there's no change. I mean, Navy SEALs don't become Navy SEALs by sitting in a seminar room.
Are you sure? I thought they just went and petted the seals, and that's how they became
pet the seals, and that's how you become a SEAL, right?
guilt by association.
Other than that one, night swim when you got to go swim off the coast of San Onofre, and there's about 30 different species of sharks, including great whites, and it's pitch black, and you can't see anything.
Yeah, that's definitely one that it's like firewalk, swim with sharks. I think I'll take the firewalk.
I've done both, and I can tell you, we did one in Hawaii. There's 3 tiger sharks off the coast of Kona on the Big Island, and those tiger sharks have been out there forever. Or at least they were, when I was there a million years ago. And they take you out there and you swim with those tiger sharks. There's 3 of them, and and a tiger shark can be on you, bam, hits you like a freight train. You wouldn't even see it coming. It would just be a blur. Yeah. So yeah, swimming with sharks, and and I surfed. I grew up in Southern Cal, so I surfed. So we saw sharks, at least we thought. I mean, the first time I saw a shark, man, I learned how to paddle real fast. And then you come to find out it was a dolphin. But when you see a dorsal fin for the first time like that, you go, you don't know. All you want to do is I'm out of here.
It's a fin, man. Your mind just goes to worst case scenario.
It might have been to my advantage to know the difference in the different fins, but I didn't. So, yeah.
Well, let's go back in time a bit here.
Sure.
I kind of threw you right up on the stage. We didn't, go from the beginning. So let's start out. I mean, you were 4 years old, and like that's when you met mom and dad, right? Or we'll say mom and dad, right?
Yeah,
because you were born in Hollywood,
right? Yeah, born in Hollywood, born to a single mom. My dad had committed suicide 2 months before I was born. Something happened to him. We don't know. He hurt his head. They put a plate in his head to save his life. And he complained about the pain all the time. He turned to mom 2 months before I was born and said, "I'm going to the grocery store." Never saw or heard from him again. So I'm born. Mom's got 2 other boys. I'm the third. We're living in a 1-bedroom apartment, Hollywood, California, with my grandmother and another cousin. So there's 6 of us in a 1-bedroom apartment. Mom is working at the Roosevelt Hotel as a server, and my mom was Rosie the Riveter. My parents, right, my generation, my parents' generation, I say it all the time, and I'll say it to the day I die, they saved the world, literally. My dad was in Europe fighting the Nazis, and my best friend's dad was in Pearl Harbor fighting the Japanese. And while the men were out saving the world, the women were home saving the world as well, because they did everything. They built planes. My mom was known as Rosie the Riveter. So she built airplanes, and women did everything: ammunition, weapons, Jeeps, you name it, right? They did it all. So mom was, and she came out of it, she lived through the Depression. So she knew hard work. She knew scarcity, and she worked hard. She really did. She just can't make enough money as a server to take care of 6 people. So when I was 5, she did a very loving thing, man. She put me up for adoption, and her sister, my aunt and uncle, adopted me. So they took me from Hollywood to Long Beach. And so now my dad, who's my uncle, but he's my dad to this day, I call him dad. He's a retired, not retired, but he was active military back then, regular Army and National Guard, highly decorated in World War II. So he was an officer. So we lived well. We had a nice house, we had nice cars, we took nice vacations. We had everything that any home could really want. Mom was a stay-at-home mom, and mom taught me everything. Taught me how to cook, how to clean, how to do laundry, how to fold laundry, how to iron. I mean, all of it, because she was a professional homemaker and really good at it. So, she was the type, if you're going to hang out in the kitchen, you're going to learn. If you're not going to help me, get out. Okay, mom. So things were great. So I'm at 5. Well, to move it forward, when I was 11, the first day of summer in 1964, mom says, "Come in the kitchen. Your dad and I need to talk to you." Well, I'm thinking, cool, they're going to tell us where we're going to go camping. Because we went everywhere. We went to Lake Arrowhead. We went to Big Bear. We went to Yosemite. We went all over the place. And so I'm thinking that's what's happening. We sit down at the kitchen table. She puts her hand on my hand. She's got tears in her eyes. And she said, "David, we need to tell you something. And what we need to tell you is we're not your parents." Well, what? What do you, that's like saying, walking outside and seeing the sky's blue and somebody's going, "The sky's not blue." Well, it's pretty blue to me. So, how do you process that at 11? You don't. And so she went on to say, "By the way, your Aunt Dean, that's actually your biological mother." And I remember thinking, I don't even like her, right? And the reason I didn't like her, coach, was she was always touching me. Every time she was around me, she wanted to be around me. She wanted to hold me and hug me and kiss me. Well, duh, I'm her son. But I didn't know that at the time, right? And I want to be clear, she never touched me inappropriately. It was always in a very loving way. Bless her heart. I get it.
She's wanting to love you like a mother, yet you're
Yes.
not understanding that she's your mother. So it doesn't make sense because you don't have all the information there to make the equation.
I had no clue.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, you nailed it right there. And so that's the first day of summer. Well, shortly after that, they had sworn off alcohol when they adopted me, by the way, at 5 years old. Shortly after they told me this, they both started drinking. And kaboom, my life went hard right turn. And when Bob drank, ooh, he was vicious. He was not a nice human. So this wonderful, great guy, my dad, turned into this just horrible guy. Now, Pat, she was drinking, I think, more to keep up with Bob. And she wasn't a mean drunk. Bob was. And so they went to the store one day. They did that back in the 60s, right? You could leave your kids home with the doors unlocked. I mean, in fact, my mom would just call across the street to the neighbor and say, "Hey, Joanne, it's Pat. Hey, we're leaving. Bob and I are going to the grocery store. David's home. If he needs you, he can just come over and say hello. You guys home?" "Yeah, he's fine. Tell him to come over. We'll make him a fried bologna sandwich." So they left.
Different
Went to the grocery
generation.
store. Yeah, that's our generation, right? Yeah, we drank out of garden hoses. Why? Because we didn't want to be in the house. There was no reason to be in the house. If you were in the house, it was 2 things. 1, you were being punished. 2, you were doing homework. Other than that, there was no reason to be inside. We didn't have computers. We had a black and white television. So everything we wanted to do was outside and was physical. So they go to the store. Well, I know where the booze is because they're hiding it in plain sight. So I go over to the cabinet, I open it up, I pull it out, I set it up on the table. It's a half gallon of brandy. I poured it in a coffee cup, about half full. Boom. Nastiest taste of stuff you ever wanted to taste. But when that alcohol got in my body, Mike, it was like rocket fuel. I just blew up, man. It was exhilarating kind of a thing. And so I believe literally, I never had a chance. I was an alcoholic on the spot at 11 years old because I started to think alcoholically. Get more, find it, hide it. You know, all the things that you have to do at 11 years old. Well, that just progressed. And, you know, I got into hard drugs and that progressed. And by the time I became a junior in high school, that first month of 11th grade, they brought me in the principal's office and said, "You're out." Okay, see ya. I'm cool. I didn't like school. I hated school. I wasn't doing good. I kind of thought, you know, there was a Paul Simon song back then, and it said, when I think back to all that crap I learned in high school, it's a wonder I can think it all, I believe is the lyric. And so I went and got a job. And I got a good job. I got a job in a grocery store and I became a retail clerk, which was part of the Teamsters Union. So after a year of apprenticeship, I was making $8 an hour. That's going in what would have been my senior year. I moved out. I bought a Mach 1 Mustang, nice car, nice little hot rod. I moved to Belmont Shore, California with a view, 1-bedroom apartment overlooking the bay and the beach. So, but I'm still, you know, $8 an hour. That's, you know, pretty darn good in 1972. So, and then, you know, got married, got divorced, got married. She moved me from California to the East Coast, got divorced, got married again. And then, as we were talking about earlier, on June 8th of 1988, I woke up that morning and said, "That's it. No more. Not doing this. I'm in so much emotional and physical pain, Mike. I'm like, I can't do this. I'm not going to do this, period." And so the only real idea I had to stop it was put a bullet in your head. And because I didn't care about anything else, I just wanted the pain to stop. I'm not thinking, is there a heaven or a hell or any of that? Nope. Nothing of that is on my mind at all. I want the pain to stop, pull the trigger, that'll do it. Well, thank goodness I married a woman with 3 kids. They were my stepkids. And I'm living in the basement. They're living upstairs because they had to stay away from me because I was pretty volatile. And I'm thinking, man, you can't pull that trigger because when you do that, you're going to kill them too, because you're going to be dead and they have to live through that. And that's wrong, man. You cannot do that to those kids. Figure out another way, pal. And so the next thought I had was call Alcoholics Anonymous. Another interesting point about that, I to this day, I'm like, well, where did that thought come from? I don't know anybody in AA. I'd never been to AA. I have no idea where that came from. How did Alcoholics Anonymous jump in my head? Well, bottom line, I called them and I got a lady on the phone and I lovingly to this day refer to her as Madge. And the reason for that is Madge talk like this. She was probably smoking, 3 packs of Pall Mall non-filters a day. And so that was her voice. Well, I'll tell you what, man, she was in my face because she was asking me, drilling me questions. Are you serious? Because she's the gatekeeper, right? And what I mean by that, Mike, she's the one that says, if that guy's bad enough and he convinces me, I'll call this guy, one of the guys on duty, and they'll go pick him up and bring him to a meeting.
Gotcha.
So that was her job. And I must have done a pretty good job because she did that. She called a guy named Lauren, came and picked me up, took me to an all men's group called Stepping Stones Group of Alcoholics Anonymous in Fairfax, Virginia. And I went to 4 meetings that day. I went to a 12:30, a 4:30, a 6:30, and an 8:30. And when I was there, they took a big book of Alcoholics Anonymous and they opened it and they wrote in the front cover, inside the front cover, that said, "Before you take that first drink, call one of us." And then they put their name and their telephone number, and they gave it to me and sent me home. Somehow, I went home that night and I didn't take a drink. Absolute miracle. Because remember, at this point, I'm grossly addicted to alcohol, cocaine, and heroin,
Mm.
and I'm smoking cigarettes. So the next morning at 8 o'clock, my phone rings, and I answer it, and it's John from AA, and he's like, "Hey, Dave, good morning. How you feeling this morning?" And I'm like, "How do you think I'm feeling? I want to kill somebody, and I might start with you, pal." He's like, he's a really cool guy. He's like, yeah, I hear you. Yeah, listen, hey man, I know where you live. We talked last night. Gave me your number. Listen, I want to come pick you up. Let me take you to breakfast, and I'm going to take you to another AA meeting. Who
They
does
knew
that?
they knew what was going on for you
Oh,
having
for
walked that
sure.
path. So
Oh gosh, yeah.
yeah.
They knew. They knew how bad I was. They knew that I was, I mean, come on. The night before, I'd already put a pistol in my mouth twice. So yeah, John took me to a meeting. And
Mm.
so 2 days turned into a week turned into a month. And once I got to a month, they gave me a coin that said 1 month. And then 1 month turned into 2, got another chip. 3 months, got another chip. 6 months, got another chip. 9 months, got another one. And then I got the 1-year chip. And then as we talked about it, June 8th of this year, it's been 35 years. Now, here's what happened though. During my recovery, I had insomnia, couldn't sleep. My sleep patterns were all over the place. So I'm up late one night, 3 o'clock in the morning, and guess who's on the infomercial screen? A young, enthusiastic Tony Robbins. This is in 1988. And man, I couldn't stand this guy. He's all motivated, and I'm not, right? But he did say a couple of things that caught my interest and kept me listening to him. And one of them he said was, "We'll do more to avoid pain than we will to gain pleasure." And I went, whoa, that's why I drank. I was drinking to either try to avoid pain or try to gain pleasure. And then, of course, there's a point where none of that happens at all. It leaves you, it abandons you. It doesn't do anything. And then the other thing that really got me is he said, the way we make decisions in life is it comes down to two things. One, we're motivated by inspiration or desperation. And I'm like, man, I'm pretty desperate. So I broke out my American Express card, called the number, ordered the program. They sent it to me. Came in a big box. It was a 30-day program. It's called Personal Power. And it came on these little white things, Mike, called cassette tapes.
We have to go to the Smithsonian to find those, don't we?
They're right next to the reel-to-reels and the 8-tracks.
Right.
Right. So there I am. I plug it in, started going through the program, and I did what the man taught me to do. And it worked. Well, one of my buddies in AA, hanging out with him a lot, he's like as I'm going through all this, he's like, "What's going on with you, man? You're something going on. You're changing, man. You look good. You've been working out. You've lost weight. You started a new business. I mean, and I like what's coming out of your mouth, your encouragement, that kind of thing." He goes, "What's going on?" "Well, I've been listening to this guy named Tony Robbins." He goes, "Hey, I know who Tony Robbins is. I bought his book. It's sitting on my shelf. I never read it." "Okay, well, tell you what, I'll loan you my tape program if you promise me you'll go through it. I'm not going to give it to you if you won't go through it and do what the man teaches you to do." He goes, "I promise I'll do it." So I did. I loaned him my program. Well, 7 years later, my phone rings. It's Dan. Hey, man, did you know that Tony Robbins is coming to town?" "No." He goes, "You want to go with me, right?" Because, well, come on, man. You got me into this. "Yeah, man, I'll go. Sure. What's the date?" "Yeah, I can go." He goes, "Great. I'll call you back." He called me back an hour later. We kind of talked about this, right? Bring snacks. Going to spend a lot of time. Hydrate. Drink a lot of water. Bring a good attitude. Be ready to play full out. You just spent $700, pal. You better play full out. Oh, by the way, we're going to be doing a firewalk. Maybe you are, but I'm not. That ain't going to happen. There is no way I'm going to do a firewalk. I'll go see Tony. You know, let the crazy people go do that. We'll watch them. It should be fun. Well, you get to the event, and Tony takes the stage at 2:00 in the afternoon. And the next thing I know, Mike, it's after midnight. 10 hours in a room with Tony Robbins, right? Bring snacks or you'll starve to death. So the next thing I know, Tony says, take your shoes off. Oh, God. I'm like, oh, no. No. I see where you're going with this one, pal. You're not going to trick me. I'm not taking my shoes off. Well, I got a real problem. I'm in a room with 3,500 people, and guess what they're doing? They're taking their shoes off. I'm like, people, no, don't fall for it. Don't go towards the light. You know, it's like, but now I got a dilemma. Everybody's taking their shoes off, but me? So I'm going to go out here in this big parking lot with my shoes on and everybody's going to notice me? Nah, can't do that. So I just kind of went, look, just take your shoes off. Nobody's going to know. Get out there, go hide in the back, and no one's going to know. So that's my plan. Well, it gets worse. Because before Tony gets everybody going out there, he gets everybody to start clapping and chanting. 3,500 people are going, yes, yes, yes. I'm walking out there going, no, I ain't doing this. Well, it gets worse. You get out there, Tony's got African drummers, and it's intense. So it's, dun, 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 dun. And when you get out there, right, over in the corner in this giant parking lot, they built a gigantic fire. And it's been burning all day. They put cord, I don't know how many cords of wood, but they put a bunch. And so it burns all day. Well, at the end of the night, it renders. And you've got this beautiful giant pile of coals. It's gorgeous, blue flame, beautiful to see. Well, how they set this up to firewalk 3,500 people is they take wheelbarrows over to that pit. They load the coals in the wheelbarrow. They bring a wheelbarrow back in and they set it in between 2 lanes of sod, of grass. And the sod's 3 feet wide, 15 to 18 feet long. And then they just take a flathead shovel and they sprinkle those coals on top of that grass. And that's what you walk on. Well, as you know, I'm having none of it. I'm hiding in the back. Well, here's the deal. Tony knows that the firewalk experience is one of the most powerful things any human will ever go through. He knows. He did his research. So he doesn't want people to miss out on it. So he also knows that there's people like me hiding out in the back. So what's he do? He trains people to come find you. So I'm back there minding my own business, and here comes this guy, and he makes eye contact with me. And once he made eye contact with me, he wouldn't take his eyes off me. And I'm pretty sure Robbins teaches him to do that, right? Once you make eye contact, don't take your eyes off him. Well, he must get maybe 20 feet from me, and he stops and he's looking at me, and he kind of twists his head and like looking at me like a dog when it hears a funny noise, right? And he says, "Are you okay?" And when we're not okay, what do? We lie. "Oh yeah, I'm good. All good here, man. Nothing to see here. Move along." And the guy goes, "So, hey, man, you going to walk tonight?" And I'm like, "Absolutely not." And he goes, "Hey, man, that's cool. No problem. We don't want you to do anything you don't want to do." And he said, "But let me ask you something. Now, bear in mind, this is a stranger. I don't know who this guy is to this day. Without him, we're not having this conversation, coach. I'm not on your podcast." Because the question he asked me was, wouldn't you at least like to watch? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Let's do that. Let's watch these people burn their feet off. And so he goes, "Well, listen, man, you can't see anything from back here. I'm 100 yards away. I got 3,000 people in front of me. I can't see a darn thing." He said, "Well, just get in line and eventually you will." He's telling the truth. So, okay. So I do. I get in line. I'm standing there. I'm kind of walking along. Next thing I know, this guy comes up and he whispers in my ear. And he says, "He knows when you're ready. When he says go, you go." And pew, this guy just disappeared into the night. And I'm like, what was that? what was that about? Right?
Mm.
It's just bizarre, right? The drums are going. And by this time, by the way, again, people are chanting, there's clapping, yes, yes, and the drums are dun 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 dun. And then people are already walking. And when they're walking, when they get to the celebration end on the other side, they're celebrating like crazy. So people are screaming. I mean, it's a dog and pony show, Mike, like anything you've ever seen in your life. Well, I'm kind of walking along, and I got hundreds of people in front of me. I can't see anything. But all of a sudden, I get to this one point where I can look at an angle and I can see them. They're walking on fire, and they're doing it. Every race, every creed, every color, every age, and they are walking on fire. And I'm in total disbelief. I'm mesmerized. I can't take my eyes off it. It's kind of like in that car accident, right?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to look at it. And we look at it, we can't take our eyes. Well, that's what I'm just staring at these people firewalking in total disbelief. And I'm walking along, all of a sudden, boom, guess where I am?
Next.
Next. Front of the line, baby. How did I get here? And so now I'm staring at the coals, that fire lane, right? It's 3 feet wide, 18 feet long. The coals are on top of there. They're bright red, glowing. There's a wheelbarrow there. I can feel the heat coming off, and my heart is pounding so hard, it's about ready to jump out of my chest.
Mm.
I am scared to death. And there's a trainer standing there. And all of a sudden the trainer goes, eyes up. Like, oh, geez. Oh, yeah. Okay. I guess I must have forgot. I was only in a room with Tony Robbins for 10 hours. And guess what he teaches you 20 times over? Keep your eyes up. Don't stare at what you fear in life. Look to the other side. And so my eyes are up, and the trainer goes, squeeze your fist and say yes. And I went, yes. And he went, stronger. And I went, yes. And then he could tell, man, he knew I wasn't in a peak state. He knew I was leaving a lot on the table. So what's he do? He screams at the top of his lungs at me. And I threw my hands in the air and I screamed yes as loud as I could. And he goes, go, go, go. Pooh. I took off. Well, here's the first thing I learned about firewalking. When you take the first step, kind of metaphorically, like life, oh, you'll take the second, third, fourth, and fifth. I absolutely guarantee you're not going to stop in the middle of that fire lane. Well, what we do is we position two people at the end of the fire lane, and they've got their hands locked, and they catch you. And so they're like, stop, wipe your feet and celebrate. So now I'm wiping my feet and I'm starting to celebrate. And I go, oh my gosh, I've burnt myself really bad. And I look at my foot, and it's dirty, but there's no burns. Oh, it's my other foot. Yeah, it's dirty too, but there's no burns. And so now I just walked across coals that are 1,000 degrees, and I don't have a clue how I did it. None. Right? You ever done that? Done something really cool, really awesome, and you don't know how you did it, but you're celebrating it, right? You're like, yeah, that's right. That's this guy. I did that, right? Well, that's kind of what I'm feeling. And I'll tell you what, man, I felt exhilarated. I felt like I could do anything. I mean, it was such a beautiful, wonderful feeling. I'm like, hey, where's Everest? Let's go. What's next? Well, yeah, but here's where it gets really, really super interesting. The next day. Remember, this is a 4-day event. That was day one, the night of day one. Now we're on day two. We got 3,500 people standing in the foyer getting ready to go into the venue. And I'd never seen or witnessed anything like it in my life. To this day, I've never seen it other than a Tony Robbins seminar. Because we had done something so special the night before as we came in together collectively, our self-worth, our self-confidence, our self-belief had been elevated. It was kind of like a near-death experience. And people you can see it. They're talking and they're laughing and they're crying and they're hugging. They're telling their stories. It's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous what's going on with this, right? And so that was it, man. That had me. That's when the firewalk kind of said, okay, that was pretty life-changing. What else can we do here in life?
When did you discover? Because like when your buddy called you and said, hey, we're going, by the way, we're doing a firewalk. And you went, nope, not doing it. Not knowing what it is. Where did you discover, hey, this is what a firewalk is?
Once you get to the event, as Tony's going in that 10-hour time frame, he's going through a bunch of stuff, right? He's actually got some pictures and this and that. So you start to figure out, and then he starts training you, right? I mean, he's actually, again, when you get out there, keep your eyes up. I want you to say yes 3 times with total intensity, with more intensity than you've ever experienced in your life. And then when they say go, you go. And
So
that's what
as you discovered that, did you dig your feet in even harder and go, not just no, but hell no?
Well, there was a couple of hell no's, and there might even have been a couple of other words used with
Yeah.
no in my head, to be fair.
I can
Um,
imagine.
but there's a couple pieces that are real important. First of all, the guy goes, here's a stranger. Doesn't know me from Adam. Wouldn't you like to watch? Yes. This guy has no idea what happened. Because of him, a perfect stranger that I don't know, I have firewalked tens, hundreds of thousands of people and changed all kinds of people's lives. And that guy did it. And he doesn't know it.
Mm.
Right? And so there's a really interesting lesson there. Just because you do something really nice for somebody, you may not know the effect. You may not know the repercussions of what you did, your act of kindness. And so this guy, boom, with me. Again, I'm not here with you on the Living Fearless podcast, man, if it wasn't for him. So that was the first one, right? When you like to watch. Okay, yeah. Guy comes up. He knows when you're ready. When he says go, go. Boom, gone. Now I'm up there. He knew when I was ready. He got me in a powerful state. Go. And I went. And later in the event, I got to meet one of Tony's trainers, guy by the name of Ted Macy, super guy, peach of a guy. Him and his wife, Mary. They're both trainers for Tony at the time. They're not in the environment anymore. They retired years ago. And so I'm just talking to Ted, really cool guy, and we're talking about all kinds of things. And I made a comment. I'm like, man, this must be awesome to come back and be in this environment on a regular basis because you're around all this beautiful, loving, energy. And he said, oh yeah, absolutely it is. And he says, as a matter of fact, you see all those people standing over there with the black shirts on with the pink writing? I'm like, yeah. He goes, they're volunteers, man. They're people just like you. They came to an event, it was life-changing, and they come back and they volunteer. And I said, whoa, that's cool. And he said, hey, man, when you get home, call Robbins Research and ask them for a volunteer crew application. And I did. They sent it to me. I filled it out. I sent it back. Like 7 weeks later, I got a letter in the mail. It said, Dave Albin, congratulations. You've been selected to crew with the Anthony Robbins companies in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Well, yippee-ki-yay. My foot's in the door. And then, when you fill out the app, they're looking at, who you are and what you can do and what you bring to the table. Well, number one, I had a military background and I had a security background. So guess what they chose me to help do? Take care of Tony's celebrities. That was cool. That was awesome. And then because I lived on a farm, they assumed I knew how to use tools, log splitters, could drive a tractor, these kinds of things, right? So they put me on the fire building team, which is exactly what I wanted. And then I volunteered probably a half a dozen times. And when you volunteer, you pay your own way, Mike, right? You got to pay your airfare and your hotel and your food and your expenses and all that. Well, shortly after that, like that 6th time I crewed, they offered me a subcontractor's position, which meant they'd pay my airfare, they'd pay my hotel, they gave me a per diem to pay for my food, and then they paid you like, $200, for the event as compensation. And so there I was, going to Tony Robbins events and getting paid and paying all my expenses. So that was in like 96, 7, 8, 9. And then in 2003, this is when my life took another interesting turn, phenomenal turn. That's when Tony set me down and offered me the captain's position. which meant that I would take over all of Tony's firewalks globally.
Mm.
And at first I said, I can't. Tell Tony Robbins you can't. It doesn't go over very well.
I was like,
He's
that's
like,
got to be a challenge of like, why can't you? And we're going to clear this hurdle.
exactly. I mean, he was on it like that. He's like, can you tell me why? Sure, Tony. I homeschool my kids.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. We missed that. Okay. Well, what if we pay to have your family travel with us? Would that make a difference? Yeah, probably could. Should. Well, it was what's it's funny is that there was a woman that worked inside of Robbins Research in the office in San Diego. Well, she was good friends with my wife. They had gone on a goddess retreat together. So when this was going down, she knew it. She knew Tony was going to offer me this position. So she called my wife and she said, "Hey, Stacia, listen, man, don't tell David I told you this. Oh my God, he'd be mad at me. But he's with Tony right now. And they're going to offer him the captain's position. So be expecting a phone call. Love you. Bye. Got to go." Sure enough, I'm talking to Tone. I'm like, "Hey, Tone, can I call my family and tell them what's going on?" He goes, "Of course." So I call home and my son knows what's going on now. He's like 9 years old and he's sitting there by the phone just waiting to answer it. Phone rings. Davey's like, "Hello." hey, Junior, what's going on? "No, not much. What's going on with you, Dad?" Right. And I said, "Well, I just got out of a meeting with Tony Robbins and he wants me to take over as fire captain. And he wants to know if my family would like to travel with us." He's like, Davey's like, "You think, Dad?" Davey's like, he goes for the kill shot, right? He's like, "So, Dad, where's our first event?"
Oh, is that what his question was to you?
"Where's our first event?" That's my son. You
He
meet my
wasn't
son, you'll
subtle at
know.
all.
Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, so their first event was Sydney, Australia. So there you are. You're on the road with Tony Robbins. You're homeschooling your kids, and you're living this absolute magical existence, right? And the interesting thing about all that, Mike, is that I was open to it. Amazing things come our way all the time. The question is, are we ready? Are you ready to take on, what life is ready to give you? So that was in what, 03. In 05, we went to London and we set the world record. We firewalked 12,300 people. Now, I want to be full disclosure here. Guinness Book was not there to document. And I say a world record. Well, to my knowledge, there's no firewalk ever anywhere close to 12,300 people on this planet, other than, of course, another Tony Robbins seminar. So that got done. Well, to move this forward in 2014, driving down the road, my phone rings and it's a company called Google. "Well, what can I do for you?" "Well, are you the Dave Albin that does the firewalks for Tony Robbins?" "Yeah." "Well, if you're not under any contractual obligation or non-compete, we'd like to talk to you about hiring you." "Okay. Well, homeboy's a free agent, so I can do what I want. What you got going on?" "Well, we have 148 people that are graduating on such and such a date. We want to create a really powerful anchoring team building experience. You're the man." "Well, so you want to do this in the middle of the day?" "Yes, we do." "Can't do a firewalk." "Why?" "Because it's a safety issue. I got to be able to see the calls. Ain't going to happen." Tell you what I could do instead. Could do the glass walk experience. The glass walk experience. Ooh, that's interesting. Tell us about that. "I'll teach you how to walk on broken glass." "Oh, okay. We'll do that." Ended up doing two glass walks for Google. And the next thing I know, Coach, I'm at NASA, Notre Dame, Virginia Tech, Microsoft, Heineken, Remax, the Entrepreneur Organization, the YMCA, junior high schools, every level of business and scholar schools. And the next thing you know, you're with Coach Mike on the Living Fearless Today podcast, right? So, so here we are today, going at it.
So when let me jump back a bit. I like just curiosity for myself. I know that this like you said when you're open to opportunity, things happen.
Yes.
You do the firewalk, 4 days at, you know, Tony's event. How did things change for you going forward from there? Because then you follow it up with 6 volunteer events, and then you're, like, elevated again.
Yep.
Like, how did Dave change in that time?
Um, Man, you're one of the first hosts that's ever asked me that, and I've been waiting for this question
Mm,
because I went from fear being forget everything and run to face everything and rise. So my perspective on fear, I had control of it. Like, no, you're not making that decision for me. You better believe it. Yeah, I am going to go out and start my own business. Yeah, I am going to continue to do what I want to do. I am going to, get out of a bad relationship and get in and find the girl of my dreams. So everything shifted in my head once I realized that fear was had become my jailer. Instead of it teaching me something, right? It had become my jailer.
so you freed
So
yourself from that, like, identity prison.
big time,
Gotcha.
absolutely. And that's it because the fear is there to guide you, right? You just don't want it to
Mhm.
become your jailer. Um, maybe you could ask that girl to dance. Maybe you could get married. Maybe you could have kids. Maybe you can. You start thinking about, what can really happen. And then I kind of, went a little further with it. It's like I started acting as if my prayers were being answered, all of them. So, when you ask yourself a question like, so, if I knew I couldn't fail, what would I do? What would I try? If I didn't let fear stop me, what would I try? And so when you frame the question differently, you get a different answer. So, we know this, right? Ask a quality question, you'll probably get a quality answer.
Yeah.
So that's really the shift. But, when you cross that lane on that fire lane, and you feel exhilarating, that exhilarating feeling, again, your whole idea and perspective on fear shifts,
Yeah.
and you get
What
control of it.
what was different? Because I mean, I think most of us have either gone to or heard of somebody that goes to, like, a mountaintop experience, right? It comes back, it works for a while, but then you go right back into that rut, those behaviors, the mindsets. How did you keep yourself in that peak state and elevated over the long term? Was it just like when you were in AA, you stayed in that community, that environment?
Yep, that's Tony. Tony calls it the seventh power, because you are. You're right. You go home, life starts coming at you. Um, the interesting part about the firewalk, though, is that that's something that never goes away. You're going to continue to go, you know what? I firewalked. What else can I do? And I'll give you an example. Um, so I'm on my way to Google. I'm flying. I'm on my way. And all of a sudden, this little guy jumps up on my shoulder. He goes, "You're a drug addict. You're an alcoholic. You're worthless. What makes you think you're going to go do well here? You're going to screw up everything." That's going through my head on the plane.
Mhm.
Well, my other little guy jumped up on the other side and said, Dave, let me remind you of something. Um, you went to London and you put on the biggest firewalk in the world with Tony Robbins. So tell that little dude to shut the hell up. And so, right, I'm having inner conversations, dialogue. We all do this with myself. And so now my other guy over here is more powerful than the other guy. And so I stopped allowing the lies to happen. Yes, I can do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I had already done it. So I'm not going to allow because, I am the voice. I will lead, not follow. I will believe, not doubt. And so when you start creating incantations about who you are and what you can do, and and you level up, then things start to change radically. And so, yes, answer to your question, yeah, because I was around the environment there for so long that you're in it all the time, which helps
Mhm.
immensely. Which means is which I say all the time. You know, we are who we spend time with, 100%. So love your family and choose your friends, and choose wisely,
Yes.
because you will become who you spend time with.
Speaking of like who you spend time with, like your children are spending time with you and you're changing and transforming because of this event and the other events you're going through. How have you seen it impact their life by the transformation that you've gone through? And I mean, you've got grandchildren now. Are they old enough that you're seeing it in them? Or,
Oh yeah.
if not, are
Oh
are there expectations that you already have for how it will impact them?
well, my kids. I don't know any other way to say it, man. They're both a couple of little badasses. My son's 30. My daughter's 27. What? Okay, and let me back up.
Yeah.
My daughter firewalked when she was 6. My son was 9 years old. Really. We're in New York. We're at an event. Tony knows they're going to walk that night. We do the fire walk. We took care of all the participants. They're standing over here in the shadows. And as soon as we were all done, Tony waved them over. And here they
Mm,
come. Because my daughter, 6 years old. She walks up to the lane. Tony took her. Tony took her by the hand. I took her by the other hand and walked her across the fire. 6 years old.
mm.
Um, my son, Dave Jr., steps up. Tony, Tony bends down to him and he looks at him and he goes, "I love you and I love your daddy. Go." Boom. There went my son.
Mm.
You can't undo that. This is why I love working with children. Give them to me. Um, you know, uh, uh, you take a kid, and I've taken the firewalk, coach, and I've done a pretty cool thing with it. When Tony, it's just a firewalk. That's all it is, which is enough. Don't get me wrong. I'm not downplaying it,
Right.
but I took it to another level. So when a client comes to me, I tell them, look, I'm going to include the board break experience. It's a martial arts move,
Hmm.
and nobody's going to break a board unless they go to a dojo and they get in martial arts, because every time you get a belt and you go up, they typically have you break a board with your hand or your elbow or your knee or your foot or your heel, whatever, to go on to graduate to the next belt. So here's what I did. I took the experience, and I have every participant write something on front of the board they want to move towards. Then I have them write something on back of the board that they need to move away from. And then I have them write anybody's name on that board that they're in conflict with. So, in
Hmm.
other words, if forgiveness or reconciliation is part of that relationship, write their name on the board.
Mm.
It ends tonight, because I'm teaching them, look, forgiveness is a lot more powerful than resentment.
Yeah.
Get that figured out now. And then here's what's really cool though. I create the ancestral side of a rite of passage. And so what we do is um, I have them write anybody's name on the board that they've lost, to bring that energy to the experience.
Mm.
So they break the board. We either outside already at the firewalk, or we go outside. We firewalk them, and then they take their board and throw it into the fire. And then I make sure that they get video and pictures of that, and I have them take a picture of their board front and rear before they break it, and so they have that of the entire experience. And then the other thing that we do, and I get most of my clients to do one, is get one of these. These are the calls from the firewalk. So it can say, I firewalked with XYZ company in 2023. And so now they get to give these out to all their participants, and they get to sit there and look at it every day. And that goes back to that question that you ask. How do you keep them, how do you keep that in their head? Well, that's one way you do it, right? Um, The other thing I do at the firewalk before they leave that night, I do what's called the heart hug. And
What's
I
that?
put everybody hugging from heart to heart. Normally we go this way, right? Nope, go the
Hmm.
other way. Put your heart on top of the other person's heart. And then I have them do 3 cleansing breaths. So they take a nice deep diaphragmatic breath, and I have them hold it so that they get a lot of oxygen into their body. And then I have them exhale. Do it again. Nice deep breath in, deep breath. Fill up your lungs. Hold it. Now, when they come into that breath number 2, either when they're taking it in, inhaling, typically by the time they exhale,
Hmm.
those 2 people that are hugging, their hearts start beating at the same time. They calibrate.
Wow.
And then I have them do one more breath. And let me tell you something, bro. That is magical because now I've got, how many people? I don't know, 100. And they're broken down into, there's 50 and 50 hugging. And now all of their hearts start beating at the same time. Woo-hoo. Yeah, that's how you get people back out of dissension and argument and all this nonsense that's going on in the world. Arguing about masks and vaccines. And, I love Donald Trump. I hate Donald Trump. Oh, shut up already. Stop. You want to kill a company? That's how you do it.
Division and divisiveness
Oh,
is what pulls everybody apart. Yeah.
and look what it does to production. It's going to
Yeah.
cost you a fortune. And you know what? Any good CEO, man or woman, knows they better fix it.
Yeah.
Because if they don't, it's going to show up, and the shareholders are going to look at the CEO and go, probably time to fire this person.
Yeah. I mean, whether it's in a corporate environment or whether it's
Doesn't
within a
matter.
family, it rots it from inside.
Oh, absolutely. So, and that's interesting because when a company comes to me, they come to me during 3 times. One, everything is great. They're kicking butt
Mm.
and they want to take it to the next level. Boom. Bring them to Albie, let him do the firewalk. They're in the middle of the road. Things aren't good, but they're not bad. But they've stepped into that mediocrity place, which ain't good to be, as you know. Boom, we fix it, or everything's breaking down. The company's in trouble, and nobody's getting along. There's a lot of dissension, and people are walking around in the company going, "I hate this company. I hate a CEO." Well, you better fix it. And so when they hire me, they're like, "Here, Dave. Here's a check. Get on stage. Do your dog and pony show, man. Talk to my people. Do that board break. Do that firewalk. Do that hard hug. Fix them." So to the next day, or if that's on a Friday or Saturday, Monday when they come to work, you got a different company of people. 100% guaranteed. It's a beautiful thing to do. Um, in fact, last year, one of my dear friends, really incredible entrepreneur, he said, "Hey, man, I have to say, I was having a thought." He called me and he's like, "Hey, man, I've had a thought and I want to bounce it off you." Like, cool, what? He goes, "Dude, have you ever thought of starting an academy where people could come to you and you train them?" And I went, "Well, I've kind of bounced it around." I go, "Why?" He goes, "Dude, come on, you ought to think about that. Because that's a beautiful thing. How many companies could benefit from that?" And you can charge a fair price because if that corporation in their HR department sends somebody from corporate and you spend a week with them and train them, then they can go back and do it. I mean, how much would that be worth to them? Because if they hire you, you know, it's $197 a person with a 100-person minimum. That's 20 grand plus all the expenses. Where here they could just send somebody, you train them, they could go back and do it on a regular basis.
Mm.
Or, maybe it's an entrepreneur or business owner, or maybe it's a trainer or a coach, whatever. And they want to take their training and their coaching business to the next level. So we did it. In fact, I've got an academy coming up this October. And I only do 9 people at a time. And there's a very specific reason for that, because the number 9 is the universal number.
Mm.
And so that way we've got 3 sets of 3 people. And if you go look at it, there's a book out there. You ought to look at it, Coach. It's called
Okay.
Coach. It's called Project 369. It'll blow your mind because of the awareness of those 3 numbers becomes to the forefront of your mind. So you're seeing
Mhm.
those numbers and understanding how they work.
Right.
Right? You got a clock, 12, 3, 6, 9. You've got a circle. You've got a triangle, right? So you've got 90, 180, 270, 360. The triad, 369.
Yeah.
nine times 12 is 108. Well, check this out. You take the circumference of the moon, multiply it 108 times. That's the distance from the earth to the moon. Take the sun, take the circumference, multiply it 108 times. That's the distance from the earth to the sun,
Whoa,
right? The
that's amazing.
pyramids, Stonehenge,
Yeah.
rosary beads,
Mm,
108, right? So my point is that there's an awareness with those numbers. So I'm
gotcha.
complying with what I've learned about the universe. And that's why I bring in 9,
Yeah.
because that energy of the universe is within those 9 people. In fact, we had one unfortunately had to back out. Wasn't her fault. And I was on a podcast today, and the host, well, we talked about it, right? So
Yes.
he may be coming. We're gonna have a discovery call on Monday, so we may be sold out again. So, but any point, I'm just saying that there's an awareness out there. There's things that are going on out there, and we have no idea. And so, why not just be open to everything? Um, and so, yeah, did I plan this? No. Was I given a huge gift? Yeah. And when I retired from Robbins, you know what he said to me? With great wisdom comes great responsibility. Because here's what I believe, coach. The 2 most important times in someone's life is the moment they're born and the moment they figure out why. And then one of my mentors says to me, and I love this, and I'll never forget this when he told me this. He said, every human has 2 lives. And the second one starts when you realize you have only one.
Oh, say that one again, Dave.
My coach, my mentor told me that every human has 2 lives. And the second one starts when you realize you have only one. Make the best of it. There's no accident here. You're here to serve at a high level.
And by
Playing
that, you mean
small
like
just
you
yeah,
mean like you're in alignment. You're not hiding and living a double life,
yeah,
correct? Okay,
exactly. Of course. Um,
dude.
and I get it. I understand addictions. And a lot of men suffer this, man, where they're addicted to whatever. Obviously alcohol, drugs, gambling, porn. There's a lot, food, whatever. One of the things people ask me all the time is like, what's one really cool piece of advice? And my advice is stop negotiating with yourself. Just knock it off. Because one of the things that Tony teaches that's so valuable is that everything we do is a pattern.
Hmm.
If we overeat, it's a pattern. If you undereat, it's a pattern. If you go to the gym, it's a pattern. If you do porn, it's a pattern. Understand how patterns work and then learn how to control them.
Hmm.
Right? It's kind of like I heard that one time is that we're supposed to be good people and nice and meek and mild, and no, not for a man. You need to be a savage, absolutely a savage, and just learn how to control it.
Right.
You can be a nice guy and be a savage. You can be a good guy, a good husband, good father. But when it's time to rock, right, you got to turn into a savage.
Yeah. The
What
problem.
is that? What is that? Better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
The
yeah,
problem is when you're a savage, like you talked about, keeping it in a healthy place, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Controlling it.
Yes,
There was nothing, before I healed and I was growing. There was no control over it. It was just out of control.
yeah,
Absolutely. And those around me suffered. That's the difference. We can be savage, but it's remaining under control until it needs to be released and
yes.
utilized.
It's it's like that scene in A Few Good Men, right? Jack Nicholson. You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall, right? Um,
Yeah.
little extreme, but still, yeah. Because if something goes down in a movie theater, I'm a sheepdog,
Yeah.
and I know my position. And here's what
Absolutely.
I know: you want me in that. You want me in that theater with you. So it's life's a beautiful thing, man. It really is. And everything we really do in life, is we create a story. Everything that's good, bad, whatever. We create a story about all of it. So create a masterpiece. I say all the time, you want to change your life? Change your story. And Viktor Frankl taught us that, right? In his book. So man's search for meaning. There he is. He's in Auschwitz, man. They took everything from him. They killed his family. They strip you naked. You stand there naked, no food, nothing. People go into the oven that day. They take everything from you except your attitude. You get to decide. If and how did Franco get out of Auschwitz?
Keeping his head about him.
He said somebody has to tell this story. And that was what it took.
Yeah.
When I do my events, Coach, I put a picture on behind me on a screen, and it's Eric Weinmeier, and he's standing at the top of Everest, right? And so I'll be talking for like half an hour, and I'll say, "Hey, who here can tell me where my buddy Eric's standing?" Mount Everest. That's correct. Let me tell you something else about Eric. He's climbed the 7 highest mountains on 7 continents, and he summited every single one of them. Put that boy on a mountain bike, he will tear it up. Put him in a kayak, and he can probably negotiate just about any river on the planet. But here's something you need to know about Eric. He's blind. So guess what, boys and girls? I don't want to hear it. If you don't have something in your life, you're making up a story of why you can't have it. If a blind man can climb the 7 highest mountains on earth, then I'm pretty sure you can have and do what you want. So, I do it. I mess with people. I want to. I want them to never forget that guy right there climbed the 7 highest mountains on the planet, and he did it blind. So,
if we're not messed with, though, Dave, we stay in a place of mediocrity.
Yep.
We continue to repeat the patterns that we've learned and been repeating up until that point, and we'll continue on. So we need people to mess with us and guide us to a different place. And man, Dave, I want to say thank you for coming and sharing your story. It just like the transformation, the difference between where you started and kind of where you were led into, especially at like 11 and how that progressed. And then just making those decisions and being open to here, what opportunities are there and how do I take advantage of them? And you've changed your family tree completely.
Yep.
And I mean, that just shows that we as men can do that regardless of where we're at and what we've experienced. So it's like there is always that opportunity open to us if we'll only see it and then take that opportunity and go after it. So Dave, thank you again. How can men connect with you outside of this podcast? How can they get to you and go like, "Hey Dave, I want to do a fire walk," or what you're doing is just super inspiring.
Come on,
how do I get more of you?
Sure. I had a lot of help. I had a lot of men that helped me, and without them, I wouldn't have made it. And so, one of the creed in AA is it says that when anyone anywhere reaches out, I want the hand of AA to be there, and for that, I am responsible, and I take that to heart. So you got something going on out there. You're on Coach Mike's podcast, and you want to chat with me? Just go to my website, man. Everything's there. How to get a hold of me? It's firewalkadventures.com. Literally, just firewalk adventures, one word, adventures with an S, plural.com. My calendar's there, my email's there, it's all there. Let's chat. Let's meet.
Appreciate it. Dave, thank you so much, my friend.
My
Grateful
pleasure.
for you.
Thanks, Coach.